Well, as lockdown measures ease this weekend, medical professionals are stressing that the virus has not gone away. There is still a risk of contracting coronavirus with fears of a second wave. I'm joined by Bharat Pankhania, Senior Clinical Lecturer from the University of Exeter. Hello to you. The Prime Minister saying that we need to now start moving towards a position where we are starting to live as normal or as close to normal lives as possible. And that is what tomorrow is about, as we see more places reopening and some more lockdown measures eased. Is it the right time?
Of course, we need to start living as normally as we can. The issues are as follows. You haven't done your homework. This is what I keep on repeating. Your homework was to set up an extensive, localized testing service. Your further homework was to set up a localized, efficient, capable contact tracing service. Those two armaments, the testing and the contact tracing, locally delivered, working in a slick operation, are our control measures. On top of that, we've got a background level of circulating high number of cases. Albeit it has plateaued, but it hasn't plateaued and fallen down. Therefore, we have things in place here which would make the case numbers go up. So if you are determined to lift the lockdown, you need to be careful, very careful. The Chief Medical Officer has said so several times, but I would want these messages to have been sent out a lot earlier, repeated and reinforced, that you need to be careful, it's not all clear.
Yes, and we heard that warning, didn't we, from the Chief Medical Officer, that this is by no means a risk-free strategy. In fact, it's a high-risk strategy. And yet, he said, this appears to be roughly the right time, if there is ever to be a right time. We heard about the R rate between 0.7 and 0.9. You talked about the plateauing rate of infection. Where are we in terms of that? The numbers and where you think they should be?
So roughly every day, and this is with limited testing, we have about 1,000 new cases identified. The range is from the Office for National Statistics that on a weekly basis, we have between 12,000 to 60,000 new cases in our community. That's a lot of cases. We want it to be much, much lower. So I would be feeling much more comfortable if the daily count was in the hundreds rather than the thousands for new cases.
And why are those numbers not coming down faster, Dr. Pankhania?
Yeah, so that's because we have never enforced our lockdown in a strict manner. So we've continued with trade and buildings and industry and movements. And so if you don't enforce lockdown strictly, furthermore, you don't have a contact tracing service to pull potential cases out of circulation.
We do have test and trace, NHS test and trace now, don't we?
We do, but it takes a longer time. So the test and trace has only just appeared, whereas we've been in lockdown much longer. And even then, our test and trace service is not as extensive as it can be. What I mean by that is, at the moment, we're testing people who can get tested or the test is sent at home. What we want is that ready availability for GPs to be able to order a test and undertake it, for people to go to the local place nearby, i.e. the GP practice, to be tested. That would give us a pretty good idea of, are we really having number of cases going down or not?
Let's talk a little bit more about pubs then opening up at 6 o'clock tomorrow. We did hear from Chris Whitty that pubs are high-risk activity. Patrick Vallance saying, don't let pubs become environments where super spreading happens. How concerned are you that opening pubs and restaurants up is going to lead to another spike?
So, yes, I am concerned because once you've started to socially gather and then you are in a gathering in a crowded place, it will happen. So my advice is, if you really wish to go and have your drink at the pub, please sit outside in the garden and have your drink outside, and don't mingle with other groups that are unknown to you. Stick within your group and preferably have your drink outdoors rather than indoors. Failure to do that and to congregate in crowds and to drop your guard after a few drinks is of much concern to me.
And also, I suppose, that the amount that you are drinking, because that affects ability to socially distance.
Well, indeed, because as I said, you drop your guard after a few extra drinks. And of course, at any time, it's a good public health measure not to drink excessively and not to binge drink.
Dr. Bharat Pankhania, thank you very much indeed for that advice.